I always live inside your hearts, and I wait for moments in your time when you are open and susceptible to my energy. My energy, the Christ energy that is being reborn in this time, is not solely my energy. It is not simply the energy of one man who lived on earth at one time. It is a collective energy field in which you take part in a way that is more profound than you realize. Having passed this stage and thrown off the old ballast, it's time to gather our strength and press the reset button for our entire inner system. It's time to regain spiritual support, balance, and build qualitatively new connections with the world. To fulfill our desires and intentions, so that in the next 12 months and its new space, to live in a renewed state with new ideas, in new energies and with new companions that meet the desires and plans of our soul and the higher self. With this shift also come events which would appear to most as catastrophic and heartbreaking collapses. However, again, this is natural, for only that which was not built and brought about with light and love is to be dissolved. You are not losing anything that the soul needs for further expansion. You may only release what no longer serves your highest purpose, and what is not in alignment with the heart's desires. The return to your natural state of being, that is love, has been thousands of years in the making. And now you are readying to close the final chapter of your journey in the rigid physical planes and emerge as a crystalline being in the spiritual realms of light. Of course, what I'll be writing is my perspective. Naturally, you're free to disagree with me. To start, everyone always seems to forget that technically the Galactics don't owe us anything. And in fact, we should probably be grateful that they're helping us at all. Someone might argue we on Earth deserve help, and maybe so. On the other hand, starving children in some parts of Africa deserve help too, and those of us who could easily donate enough money to save some lives there frequently simply don't do that, and we also don't feel that we should be forced to help those children. Even though, from the point of view of some of those starving African children, some of us Westerners are so well off that we should have a moral obligation to help them. Well, similarly, I don't think that you can say that any individual galactic person should be obligated to help us. You all made a vow once. You all set your intention to carry this energy forth into the reality of Earth, to anchor it in Earth. Many lifetimes, many centuries, you have worked on this mission. You are all in the process of birthing the Christ seed within, and I am helping you. I was a forerunner, yet the sowing of the Christ seed was a collective effort. Even my coming to Earth was possible only because of the field of energy that was present here, woven by you. We work together, we are a unity. Therefore, I am accessible to all of you. I am not exclusively available to any one person. I am at the service of all of you. Today, I want to speak about an issue that touches you deeply and frequently in your day-to-day life. It is about dealing with emotions. In the understood at about 2 months before the scheduled date. Having again carefully scanned humanity, co-creators regretfully saw that the vast majority of Earthlings are still in deep spiritual hibernation and won't physically survive during the quantum leap. Over the past 12 years, more than 2 billion people, in a solitary manner and in groups, have already moved to 4D and 5D due to constant and intensive inner work. Millions of others are preparing to follow them, and co-creators are doing their best to help this. Almost every week, and sometimes daily, we go through several phases of very high frequency human resonance and powerful solar flares. Geomagnetic storms are reached on average the level. It's not an anomaly, as thousands of large and small earthquakes per week. but an active replacement of three-dimensional reality with transitional 4D and constant 5D. Make no mistake, the positive galactics are taking some casualties too, although usually they're beating the negative galactics they're fighting without casualties. I have an upcoming channeling from a female Pleiadian squad commander, roughly a sergeant in Earth terms. She was helping us Earth humans, but got captured by reptilians. She was raped and tortured by them for about a month before she was freed. That was an absolutely horrific experience, and she still has some mental scars from that today despite Pleiadian healing technology. And the only reason that happened to her was that she was trying to help us, Earth humans. Hence, I think we can certainly ask for help and make suggestions, but I don't think that we should yell at the galactics. I don't think we should act like the galactics are obligated to help, much less obligated to help us in exactly the way we wish them to help us. Now, yes, I want help too, and I want the galactics to land too, preferably today. I have repeatedly asked them to help us and to physically meet us, and they genuinely are planning to do so at this point. Last time I spoke about the energies of the male and the female which run through your energy field and chakras. I've emphasized the importance of healing the lowest three chakras as a part of becoming whole and complete unto yourself. I thought it was important to emphasize this as some of you who crave the spiritual tend to withdraw yourself, both in thought and feeling, to the higher chakras. The heart, the third eye, and the crown chakra are attractive to you because these energy centers connect you with the higher realms that are so natural to you. But the real inner breakthroughs must now occur on a lower level, in the area of the lower chakras, closer to Earth. The area of the emotions is a vital area in your growth process towards freedom and wholeness. You are spiritual beings. You come from a plane of reality where the density and coarseness of Earth reality was unknown to you. To cope with this has been difficult. Co-creators do this with the sole purpose of speeding up the awakening and inner transformation of as many people as possible. Under the impact of high-frequency quantum fluxes and sun's plasma, the composition of blood and cellular structure in our bodies change. For 12 years, we stayed in a mixed reality where people with frequencies of 3D, 4D, and those who were loaded with 5D programs and codes coexisted together. Ode, on the physical and subtle plane, we are already divided into three different groups. They are people of the old 3D philosophy, dependent on everything, shifting own responsibility to anyone except selves, with the collective consciousness of a child, capricious, infantile, and at the same time, full of selfishness, arrogance, and egoism. Second, a lot of people have in their mind that these galactics are basically perfect beings, and that any channeled message that portrays them as less than perfect is therefore a false message. I consider this galactics a perfect idea to just be wishful thinking. I get the appeal in thinking that these flawless, perfect beings are looking out for us and will soon walk among us. But that's like a small child idolizing his parents to an unrealistic degree. The truth is, while the galactics are good and are trying to help and are pretty awesome, they're not perfect. If they were perfect, they would have merged back into Source already. Or maybe they'd be part of some non-physical collective. They wouldn't be some physical man or woman somewhere who probably still needs a spaceship to get around. The Tunias and Hackans of the world, the kind of galactics who are actually going to land in the future, aren't perfect beings. And it's not just that they're imperfect, they also think a bit differently than we do. To illustrate this, how different do you think you are from an average Westerner from the 10th century? Throughout many lives, you have tried to express your cosmic energy here on Earth. And in this expression, in the channeling of your energy to Earth, many deep traumas have been built up. The emotional body that you all have is rife with wounds and traumas. Of that I wish to speak today. Anyone who walks the path of inner growth knows the importance of emotions. That you should not repress them, that you have to come to terms with them in some way, that you must ultimately release them. But how it all really works is not always so clear. I first want to make a distinction between emotions and feelings. I'm not concerned here with specific terms or labels, and you may call it by different names. But I want to make a distinction between emotions in the sense of energies that are essentially expressions of misunderstanding, and feelings or energies that are a form of higher understanding. Feelings are your teachers, while emotions are your children. Emotions are energies that have a clear manifestation in the physical body. Emotions are reactions to things that you do not really understand. Consider what happens when you are overcome by a fit of rage. For instance, someone hurts your feelings unexpectedly, and you feel yourself becoming angry. You can feel this very clearly in your body. In certain places, you feel the energy go tense. This physical tension or tightening that follows the energetic shock shows there is something you do not understand. There is an energy coming toward you that you feel is unjustified. The feeling of being treated unjustly, in short, the not understanding, is vented through the emotion. The emotion is the expression of the not understanding. It is an energetic explosion and a release. Any higher force carried out by the quantum flows or sun's plasma enters us so that we ourselves become this higher force. Its consciousness, feel through it our energy, the different quality of being, and fill our life with new content and sensations. However, further on, according to the law of like attracts like, we must grow this force and selves on our own. And this requires inner work, patience, guts, creativity, and ingenuity. After the first contact, we must simulate, generate, resume the lost sensations, double, multiply, and make them permanent. At the moment, this is one of their main strategies of co-creators to show us what it means to be in a new dimension, and then give everyone the opportunity to make their choices and increase own luminosity. Otherwise, it would be taken as an artificial plug-in of energies and knowledge, as a moral gimp stick. We must independently establish a connection with our higher aspects, form a new self, and unlock personal light portal. Access to multidimensionality is open to everyone, but not everyone sees the subtle plan. Only those who have been going at it for a long time and are ready energetically and consciously. Multidimensionality opens only at high frequencies, if we ourselves emit them, and what our mind is prepared for. In 2025, we'll continue to accumulate the experience of being in several realities at once, switching freaks, going back and forth, choosing, trying, and testing. It's a shimmering world. Like in a stereo pics, when turned one way, they shows one images, and if a little differently, another one's. Now, to be clear, they genuinely are kind and pleasant to be around. They're not secretly evil, and they're not hiding some dark, monstrous secret. I'm still genuinely excited to meet them. But yes, they do think a bit differently than we do. You know how time seems to speed up when you get older? Well, these people are often centuries old. So the way they think of 2 years is the way you probably think of 2 months. So from their point of view, them promising to intervene in the next 2 years is actually them promising to help really quickly. Because of their longer lifespan, They're also much more concerned than we are about potentially destabilizing longer-term consequences of their possible intervention than we are. We're basically just thinking about the present and the next 2 years or so. Well, they're trying to do what's best for Earth humans over the next 2 millennia or so. They're not as biased as we are towards the Earth humans who happen to be alive right now. They also try to do what's best for the Earth humans who will be born in the future. Then they might be considering things that I don't fully understand, like their intervention's impact on different timelines. And different realities and different worlds and different galaxies and different collective consciousnesses. And it's almost like we're a child yelling at an adult. Yes, I too want to meet the Galactics today. And yes, it's possible that it would be optimal for them to land today. However, I'm also open to the possibility that maybe the Galactic Confederation decision makers are just simply right to let a bit more time pass before meeting us. I don't have the perspective or knowledge necessary to be able to judge their decisions. It's possible that they even perceive time in a way that I don't understand. So how can I say that they're wrong and I'm right? Emotions are essentially explosions of misunderstanding that you can clearly perceive in the body. Feelings, on the other hand, are of a different nature and are perceived differently as well. Feelings are more quiet than emotions. They are the whispers of the soul that reach you through gentle nudges, an inner knowingness or a sudden intuitive action that later appears to have been very wise. Emotions always have something very intense and dramatic to them. Consider anxiety attacks, fear, rage, or deep sadness. Emotions take hold of you completely and pull you away from your spiritual center. In the moment you are highly emotional, you are full of a kind of energy that pulls you away from your center, your inner clarity. In that sense, emotions are like clouds hovering before the sun. With this, I do not want to say anything against emotions. Emotions should not be repressed. They are very valuable as a means to get to know yourself more intimately. But I do want to state what the nature of emotional energy is. It is an explosion of misunderstanding. Emotions essentially take you out of your center. Feelings, on the other hand, bring you deeper into yourself, into your center. Feelings are closely associated with what you call intuition. Feelings originate in a non-physical realm, outside of the body. That is why they are not so clearly located within one spot of the physical body. Consider what happens when you sense something, an atmosphere or a mood, or when you have presentiments about a situation. There is a kind of knowingness within you then that seems to come from the outside, and that is not a reaction from you to something external. It comes out of nothing, out of the blue, as you so beautifully put it. In such a moment, you may feel something open up in your heart chakra. The same work goes on Earth, where the three space-time continuums of the past, present and future are tightly intertwined with millions of events, karmic destinies of countries, nations, civilizations, and ordinary people. And each case must be dealt separately to determine how much life glimmers, frames, or fades in it. Scan all connections and predestination, from the initial origin to today. The overall picture is increasingly clear-cut. Only some details weren't fully investigated. Ignoring them can harm the higher planes, the inhabitants of the galaxy, the solar system, and Earth. All destinies inside and outside of different timelines are untangling and checking on a collective and individual levels. Every life is carefully reviewed, and everything that each person is capable of is weighed. The Pleroma's programmers and architects constantly adjust the goals and objectives of multiple energies, forms, and beings. This is necessary for a new local universe, which is based on the constructive interaction of everything that exists in it. The chaos on Earth affects many worlds on the outskirts and in the middle part of the universe, preventing co-creators from uploading new evolutionary programs. That is why they crushed down any attempts to derail the process. Confirmation of the co-creators' info was the dramatic events in near-terrestrial space in December. From the worlds at the bottom of the local universe's torus, a huge spacecraft arrived in the solar system via interdimensional wormholes. We accuse them of not understanding our perspective, but we probably understand their perspective even less. In fact, it's hard for them to even communicate their full perspective to us because our thinking in consciousness and language is limited from their perspective. On to the next point. Yes, the Pleiadians are what we would consider to be naive about the situation on Earth. They've lived in a sort of paradise for a long time now. As a result, they are, from our perspective, naive about darkness and evil people. That might be the greatest flaw that Pleiadians have. I know people may not like to hear this, and people love to pedestalize these beings. However, Pleiadians aren't perfect. And in fact, they are naive in the same way that you're probably naive about what being in a war really is like. Of course, if you have been in a war, this doesn't apply to you, and my heart goes out to you. Some people have argued that the Galactics should simply have listened to people, and that should have solved their naivete. Well, suppose that you're a person who has never been in a war. You can listen to someone who has been in a war describe it. You can watch war movies, but you won't fully understand war. You won't fully understand what it's like to live in a war zone until you've experienced it yourself. Similarly, the Galactics have tried to do their research about what life on Earth is like, and that has helped, but they're still somewhat naive about it. The Galactics genuinely have tried to research the situation on Earth as best as they could, and they have listened to people. If they hadn't, they would have been ever more naive, and they would probably have adopted a policy of we're purely just going to send love towards Earth, and that will be enough to cause the people of Earth to peacefully unite. And if you want to argue that this is what they're currently doing, it's really not. Without their practical help, things would be far worse today. They have dealt with a lot of hostile, they have solved a lot of hard to deal with problems for us, and they have averted a lot of disasters. It's just hard to notice the 5 huge disasters that didn't happen last year. As the New Year frequencies were anchored across your Earth plane, there was a monumental reopening of a series of alternate reality spaces across the planet. These expansive multidimensional reality spaces contain vast sacred meeting points that naturally create a more authentic network of light to flow and build throughout the planet. This expansive network re-establishes the completed multidimensional structures within the vortexes, portals, and ley lines within the Earth plane. With these higher, functioning structures, you are being given a more complete multidimensional setting in which to become self-realized within your heart. Simultaneously to the reopening of many alternate reality spaces. The Earth's magnetic core began a first-time reconnection to the sacred wormholes that have always existed within the universal planes. This forging brings Earth into a direct alignment to the sacred fragments of the hierarchy of light that has previously been beyond Earth's capacity. At the final stage of sunset on the last day of your calendar year, you may have witnessed the window opening beginning to mirror this energetic phase, as the magnetic core reconnected to these sacred wormholes. The window simultaneously held an aspect of the first stage of birthing reflections of a higher path being created ready for these sacred fragments of light to enter your Earth. This was a radiating spectacle of glorious light entering your planet in readiness for the great shifts. A sacred moment being revealed to humanity. A celebration as the new year was heralded by this vibrational light, which was imminently to anchor on the earth plane. Ascension refers to the process of transcending to a higher level of consciousness or existence. Ascension is both an individual and collective journey towards a higher state of being, and is thought of more as a spiritual process rather than a physical one. This shift is characterized by moving from a world based on ego identity, separation, and us versus the mentality to one of love, unity, and interconnection. From this higher state of being, we have heightened perception and greater intuitive capacities, gaining access to spiritual gifts that were not previously available due to the density of the 3D world. Awakening can be thought of as what is happening as we move from the 3D to 5D world. If ascension is the larger process, awakening is the unfolding realization and recognition of the nature of reality that happens within that process, bringing with it profound insights and shifts in perception, leading to increased mindfulness, spiritual growth, and a deeper connection to oneself and the world. These realizations can happen suddenly or over a long period of time with steep stages and plateaus. It can be triggered by unexplainable events, a life transition, or a peak experience. But it starts with a deeper appreciation that we are part of something bigger than just ourselves. Enlightenment is often considered the ultimate result of awakening in spiritual traditions. It is an absolute state of being that once you have achieved it, there is no other way of being. The idea of what the ultimate result is can vary from tradition to tradition. It involves liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Enlightenment is seen as a return to the inherent harmony of the way, the natural order of the universe. Some others believe that it is simply non-duality. It is safe to say that there have been very few enlightened people in humanity's history, because enlightenment transcends the limitations of ego and conditioned patterns of thinking and involves living with the knowing of our oneness. It is not easy to achieve. I would like to mention another energy that has more of a feeling nature than an emotional one. It is joy. Joy can be a phenomenon that transcends the emotional. Sometimes you can feel a kind of joy inside that lifts you up without a particular reason. You feel the divinity inside you and your intimate connection to all that exists. Such a feeling may come to you when you least expect it. It is as if something greater touches you, or as if you touch a greater reality. Feelings are not so easily summoned and seem to come to you out of the blue. Emotions almost always have a clear, immediate cause, a trigger in the outside world that pushes your buttons. Feelings originate from the dimension of your higher or greater self. You need to be quiet inside to catch those whispers in your heart. Emotions can disturb this inner silence and peace. Therefore, it is vital to become emotionally calm and to heal and release repressed emotions. Only from your feeling which connects you to your soul can you make balanced decisions. By being quiet and peaceful, you can feel with all of your being what is right for you at a certain moment. Making decisions based on emotions is making decisions from a non-centered position. You need to release the emotions first and get in touch with your inner core where there is clarity. Now I want to go into the question of how you can best deal with your emotions. I said that feelings are your teachers and emotions are your children. The parallels between being emotional and being like a child are striking. Your inner child is the seed of your emotions. Also, there is a striking resemblance between the way you deal with your own emotions and the way you deal with real children. If you reject this explanation, then what's your explanation for why they haven't landed yet? I think any explanation other than what I shared can easily be refuted just by thinking logically about it. There's the saying, when you have eliminated all which is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Or in this situation, we're observing that the Pleiadians haven't yet landed, and they must have some reason for that. You can't just say that every single reason for this is fake and false, because then why haven't they landed yet? They must have some reason for that, from their perspective. And if you think about it logically, then I think that what I've channeled, they have a broader view and they're a bit naive, is the position that's easiest to defend. Or do you want to argue that highly advanced beings who are flying around in our skies all the time are somehow literally unable to just land? While we think they're being naive, the Pleiadians have for a long time thought that eventually we will simply just stand up and free ourselves, and they're not wrong that if enough people do that, we will get our freedom. The Pleiadians are currently coming around to the understanding that it's apparently not so easy on Earth. But to this day, they're a bit baffled why more people aren't out there protesting and peacefully demanding their freedom. From their point of view, if we just work together for a bit, we could free ourselves in 1 week and have a much better society in 1 year. So why don't we? You are going to recognize the call for your own heart, a call of your heart, which you have a unique frequency of active consciousness. Your heart cells are responding to the vibration created by the hierarchy of light, as this light is interacting within each heart cell individually. The light is activating a dormant transmitter within each heart cell. Your heart cells are beginning to pulse on a different vibrational channel than ever before, being linked back to pure source. Being recreated to fulfill the potential of a complete alliance within the pure frequencies held in these sacred multidimensional wormholes. Your heart recognizes the sacred timelines that are being re-established now on Earth through the reopening of many alternate reality spaces. The true frequency of time is about shifting your perceptions through the avenue of your multidimensional heart. Allowing the full essence within your heart cells, within your sacred heart, to be your only guiding light, aligning you into your sacred intelligence. You then begin to work directly through an authentic reference point within your heart. This is achievable through a conscious action by you of returning to be. To become an authentic aspect of your multidimensional heart. The expanded energetic framework is now in place to create the alignments necessary for you to reconnect to your heart's multidimensional tool on a very different vibrational level than at any other time in the history of your planet. New Year has heralded in the perfect sacred frequency settings, establishing a higher energetic framework for a next step for you to take. Be still and witness yourself transform through this sacred collective frequency that you have always been a part. Within your heart, you can begin to play a much more conscious, active role in the transmutation of your planet's vibrational webbing. Your heart is naturally linked within the Earth's vibrational web. Each time you consciously align through your heart, you enter the web. Through the webbing, you reconnect to your natural, authentic nature to manifest abundance on all levels. This web is designed to nourish the physical systems in your body so that you can thrive. Strengthen your physical systems to complete what you have come here to achieve, your mission. Remember, those of you in physical bodies are to play the most significant role in the transmutation of Earth, and only you can truly support the main shifts of consciousness that are necessary at this juncture. Our role is to support through offering levels of clarity while holding an energetic platform. While you are the only ones who can actively create the main energetic changes necessary at this time for all of humanity. One of the reasons for this unbounded emotionality is that the child has only recently left a world in which there are hardly any boundaries. In the ethereal or astral dimensions, there were no such restrictions and limitations as there are in the physical realm, within the physical body. The child's emotions are often reactions of misunderstanding to this physical reality. Therefore, when he or she grows up, the child needs help and support in dealing with their emotions. This is part of the process of balanced incarnating on Earth. So how do you deal with emotions, whether in yourself or in your children? Emotions should not be judged or repressed. Emotions are a vital part of you as a human being, and as such they need to be respected and accepted. You can look upon your emotions as your children who need your attention and respect and your guidance. An emotion can best be viewed as an energy that comes to you for healing. Therefore, it is important to not be completely swept away by the emotion, but to remain able to look at it from a neutral stance. It is important to stay conscious. One might put it like this: you should not repress an emotion, but you should not drown in it either. For when you drown in it, when you identify with it completely, the child in you becomes a tyrant that will lead you astray. The most important thing you can do with an emotion is to allow it in, to feel all aspects of it while not losing your consciousness. Take, for instance, anger. You can invite anger to be fully present, experiencing it in your body at several places, while you are at the same time neutrally observing it. Such a type of consciousness is healing. What happens in this instance is that you embrace the emotion, which is essentially a form of misunderstanding, with understanding. This is spiritual alchemy. Let me explain with the help of an example. Your child has bumped her knee on the table and it really hurts. She is upset, screaming with pain, and she kicks the table because she is angry with it. She considers the table to be the source of her pain. Emotional guidance at this moment means that the parent first helps the child name her experience. You are angry, aren't you? You are in pain, right? Naming it is essential. You transfer the root of the problem from the table to the child herself. It's not in the table. It is you who are hurt. It is you who is angry. And yes, I understand your emotion. And it's really hard for them to wrap their mind around the fact that it's not just that normal people aren't standing up. Also, more or less every single person who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution, the people is currently violating that oath. At least, that's the Pleiadian perspective on that. This is something that just doesn't quite compute in the mind of an average Pleiadian. They figured that even if the people don't peacefully stand up, then surely the military would step in to defend the people because they swore an oath to do so. Furthermore, some Pleiadians view us as not much better than the reptilians. If you're shocked by this, well, the way that Earth humans treat animals isn't that much better from how reptilians treat us. Yes, I know that mistreating humans isn't quite the same as mistreating animals, and hence Pleiadians also don't view us as quite so bad as reptilians, but still. Yes, there are good Earth humans, but then again there are also good reptilians. Yes, the humans who mistreat animals were hurt during their childhood, but do you think reptilians don't get hurt during their childhoods? Some Pleiadians are a bit baffled by why Earth humans are asking for our freedom while engaging in factory farming ourselves. with most of us not really making an effort to end the practice of factory farming on Earth. And yes, that is how Pleiadians who haven't studied Earth often think, if Earth humans disagree with factory farming. Why aren't they just connecting with other Earth humans who feel the same and then together creating a movement that ends that practice?